I never thought I'd have to pull a gun on anyone in my life, let alone actually use it. But when someone comes after your family, all bets are off. It started 3 years ago when I moved my family into what was supposed to be a quiet little community nestled along the southern coast, sun sand palm trees, and just enough distance from the chaos of the city. I didn't exactly choose to be part of the homeowners association. The HOA came bundled with the property like a parasite you didn't notice until it started sucking the life out of you. At first, it seemed harmless. They weren't supposed to have much power legally. This wasn't the US, where some HOAs think they're above the law. Here, they were supposed to be more symbolic. But I quickly realized the folks running ours didn't care about limits. They made up rules and hoped no one would push back. Most folks were older, nice people, but easily intimidated. I wasn't, and that's where the trouble started. The first red flag was when they tried to tow my car. Yeah, my 10-year-old Toyota Corolla wasn't a beauty queen, but it ran fine, was fully legal, and parked on my own property. They claimed it was too old and an eyesore. When I refused to get rid of it, they had a tow truck show up and start hooking it up without any warning. I stopped them cold and called the cops. The HOA backpedaled hard, said they thought it was abandoned, played dumb, like it was all a big misunderstanding. I knew better. It was a message, a warning shot. And it ticked me off enough to try starting a petition to remove the president of the HOA, a smug, self-important guy named Randall, who always acted like he was king of the block. But no one backed me. I was still the new guy, and nobody wanted to make waves. Fast forward a year and a half, a brutal storm tore through the coast roofs, ripped off trees, snapped like twigs power out for days. But I was ready. Years of living in hurricane-prone zones had taught me how to be prepared. I had a generator and enough fuel to keep the essentials running. That's how I met Elena and Marcos. They lived a few houses down, probably in their late 70s. Marcos came knocking the day after the storm. He looked tired, worried, told me Elena needed to refrigerate her insulin and their fridge was down. The storm had shattered a window in their living room. Without a second thought, I invited them to stay in our spare room. They were the kind of people you want as neighbors. Elena cooked meals with whatever limited supplies we had, somehow stretching them into something warm and comforting. Marcos told stories to my boys, stories about fishing storms, his time in the Navy. It felt like family, like something out of a simpler time. But good things don't go unnoticed for long, especially not when the HOA's involved. Randall showed up 2 days later, all smug and authoritative, like usual. Knocked so hard on the door, I thought he'd break it. I opened it barely halfway, and he started talking like he owned the place. "We heard you have power," he said, "and that you're housing other residents." "I'm helping neighbors," I replied. "What's your point?" He didn't even blink. "We need a place to hold tonight's HOA emergency meeting. Your house is the only one with electricity." I told him, no, I wasn't powering lights, only essentials. Fuel was limited, and I wasn't about to waste it on some pointless meeting. That should have been the end of it. But then he said something that stopped me cold. Well, you'll need to vacate. The meeting is private. You can take your family and go stay at Marcos and Elena's place for the night. I laughed in disbelief. You're asking me to leave my own home? Not asking, he said, pressing his hand against the door. I'm telling you. That was it. I shoved the door closed and locked it. My heart was racing, not out of fear, but anger. I wasn't going to let this petty little man push me around, especially not in my own home. That night, I powered up the security cameras. Something told me Randall wasn't done. I was right. Around 9 p.m., we were outside in the backyard. Marcos had helped me set up a fire pit with some bricks, and the boys were pretending to camp. Elena made hot chocolate using the generator-powered kettle. It was one of those moments you don't realize you'll treasure until after it's been interrupted. They came through the back gate, Randall and 4 others. Randall was holding a baseball bat, gripping it like he'd seen too many mob movies. He didn't even look at me. He walked straight toward my wife and kids. You'll give us the house, he sneered. Or maybe your wife and kids will need a hospital visit. Think it's worth it. Something broke in me right then. I didn't scream. I didn't warn. I just moved. I carry, legally, a Glock 19, registered, trained, locked, when not on my hip. I pulled it out and shot him clean through the leg. He dropped like a sack of bricks, screaming the bat, clattering on the patio. The others ran. I told my family, and Elena, and Marcos, to get inside. Then I put the gun down on the table, clicked the safety on, and sat with my hands where anyone could see them. I waited for the police. When they arrived, I cooperated fully, explained everything. They cuffed me, which I expected. Protocol. But I wasn't worried. I had the footage, the witnesses. Marcos came out calm and steady. Turns out he wasn't just a Navy vet. He was a retired police captain. That got their attention fast. He showed them the footage from our cameras, Randall crossing into our yard, making the threat, raising the bat. Randall tried to spin some wild story, said he was just walking by, and I attacked him without warning. But the video didn't lie. Neither did my wife, or Marcos, or Elena. I was released that night. No charges. The police ruled it self-defense, plain and simple. Randall, on the other hand, got hit with trespassing and assault with a deadly weapon. He pled out to avoid jail time, but the judge banned him from ever participating in the HOA again. That should have been the end of it, but I wasn't about to let someone else like Randall step up and fill the power vacuum. This time, I went door to door again, only now I had support. I had credibility, and I had Marcos at my side. We got enough signatures to force a vote. Emergency meeting. Dissolved. Gone. Finished. Since then, our neighborhood's been peaceful. Elena and Marcos moved back into their place, but they come by every Sunday, now dinner with us, gifts for the kids' stories around the table. They never had children of their own, and now we're kind of their family. As for me, I still keep that gun locked and loaded, but I pray to God I never have to use it again. That night changed everything. I look at my boys differently now. I listen harder when they laugh. I keep my doors locked and my heart open. So yeah, When it comes down to protecting the people you love, there's no room for hesitation. But now, I've got to ask you, if someone threatened your family like that, what would you have done? Would you have stood your ground or called the cops and hoped they made it in time? Let me know in the comments. This one's going to stir up debate, and I'm ready for it.